today I have something truly special for you. He was born a poor fisherman's son on the coast of China. He had no money. He had no power. He had no future. Or so everyone thought. But this man became the most feared pirate in East Asia. He commanded over 1,000 ships. He made emperors tremble. And then, he abandoned everything to become a Mandarin general. Today, you are not just going to learn about a pirate. You are going to learn about power, betrayal, and the highest price a man can pay for ambition. This is not just a history lesson. It is a lesson about the choices we make and the legacies we leave. Subscribe to this channel because every week we turn the greatest stories in history into English lessons that improve your language and your life at the same time. Our story begins in 1604 in a small fishing village in Fujian, China. Fujian is a province on the southeast coast, a place of steep mountains and rough seas. The land is hard to farm, so the people learn to survive on the water. They become fishermen, traders, and sometimes pirates. Zheng Zhilong was born into this world. His family was very poor. Every morning his father would take a small wooden boat into the ocean. He was hoping to catch enough fish to feed his family. Sometimes they ate well. Sometimes they did not eat at all. The life of a fisherman is difficult. The work is hard. The danger is real. Storms can appear without warning. Enemies can attack. For a young boy like Zhilong, the future seemed very small. People expected him to become a fisherman, just like his father. They expected him to live a simple, hard-working life. But young Zhilong had a hungry mind. He watched big trading ships passing by on the horizon. These ships were not Chinese. They were European, from Portugal, Holland, and England. They carried silver, spices, and weapons. To Zhilong, these ships carried something else. Possibility. A fishing boat is small. You catch what the sea gives you. But a trading ship takes what it wants. This difference was the first spark of ambition in young Zhilong. Ambition. That means a strong desire to be successful. He did not want to just survive on the sea. He wanted to own it. In other words, Zheng Zhilong looked at the ocean and did not see a place to work. He saw a place to conquer. At age 17, Zhilong made a decision that changed his life forever. He left his village. He left his family. He traveled to Macau, a Portuguese trading port on the coast of China. In Macau, he saw a world he did not know existed. European ships, cannons, maps, books. He heard languages he had never heard before. He saw men who commanded respect, not because of their family name, but because of their weapons and their ships. Zhilong did something very smart. He learned to speak Portuguese. An interpreter, that is a person who translates between two languages. This small skill opened many doors for him. He worked for the Portuguese. Then he worked for the Dutch East India Company. This was a powerful Dutch trading group. In Dutch, they called it the VOC. Think about this for a moment. A poor fisherman's son now working for the most powerful trading company in the world. He was learning international trade. He was learning military strategy. He was learning how the world really works. And most importantly, he was learning a very important lesson. Power does not come from strength alone. Power comes from information. It comes from negotiation. And it comes from seeing opportunities before others see them. Negotiate. That means to talk to someone to reach an agreement. Little did the Dutch know, the young man they hired as an interpreter was watching, listening, and planning. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Zhilong realized that working for the Europeans meant he would always be second. He would never be the captain. He would never be the commander. The Europeans trusted him, but only so far. They saw him as a useful local, nothing more. So Zhilong made another decision. He left the Dutch, and he joined a Chinese pirate group. In the 1620s, the South China Sea was a dangerous place. It was full of pirates. A pirate, that is a person who attacks ships on the sea to steal things. These pirates attacked trading ships, stole goods, and sometimes killed everyone on board. It was a world of violence and survival. But Zhilong was different from other pirates. He had learned European military tactics. He had learned how to use cannons. He had learned how to organize large groups of people. He was not just a fighter, he was a strategist. Very quickly, Zhilong rose through the ranks. He became a leader. In 1628, the leader of his pirate group died. Zhilong took control. This is an important moment in the story. Zhilong was not the strongest pirate. He was not the most violent, but he was the smartest. He knew that a pirate fleet needed more than fear to survive. A fleet, that means a large group of ships. It needed organization. It needed allies. It needed evasion. Allies, that means friends who will help you in a fight. He started to build a fleet, 1 ship, then 10 ships, then 100 ships. And here is the thing that made him different. He did not just steal from everyone. He protected some traders in exchange for payment. He created a system, a pirate empire. But here is the truth. Every great rise creates great enemies. The Ming government, the rulers of China, saw Zhilong as a threat. They sent their navy to destroy him. Other pirate groups saw him as a rival and attacked him. The Europeans were also worried. Their trading routes were now controlled by one man. Zhilong was surrounded by enemies on all sides. One wrong move meant death. Let me ask you something. If you were surrounded by enemies, what would you do? Fight them all? Or find a way to turn one enemy into an ally? This is the turning point of our story. In 1628, Zheng Zhilong did something that shocked everyone. He did not fight the Ming government. He surrendered to them. Surrender, that means to stop fighting and give up. But this was not the surrender of a weak man. This was a negotiation. Zhilong made the Ming government an offer they could not refuse. He said, "I will stop attacking your ships. I will use my pirate fleet to protect your coast. I will fight your enemies. In exchange, you will make me a general. You will give me power and money." The Ming dynasty was in a difficult position. A dynasty, that means a family of rulers who lead a country for many years. They were fighting a war against the Manchus, invaders from the north. Their navy was weak. Their treasury was empty. They needed help. So the Ming government agreed. They officially made Zheng Zhilong an admiral, a high-ranking naval officer. Think about this. A pirate, a criminal who attacks ships, became a general in the Chinese military. It was an unbelievable change. Now, Zhilong had the best of both worlds. He was a government official with legal power, and he controlled the largest pirate fleet in Asia. He used his official position to expand his illegal business. He became incredibly powerful. He controlled trade between China, Japan, and Southeast Asia. He became one of the richest men in the world. He built a beautiful house in Fujian. He had a family. He had a son named Zheng Zhilong, who history would come to know as Kaxinga. Life was good for Zheng Zhilong. He had escaped his poor beginnings. He had conquered the sea. He had outsmarted the Europeans. He had made peace with the government. But life was not done testing him. Wait, before we talk about his fall, let me explain why his rise was so extraordinary. Because to understand the tragedy of his end, you must understand the height of his power. In the 1630s and early 1640s, Zheng Zhilong was one of the most powerful men on earth. He had a fleet of over 1,000 ships. Some of these ships were massive European-style warships equipped with cannons. Some were fast Chinese junks, perfect for raiding. Together, they formed a navy larger than many countries' official navies. His influence stretched from Japan to Indonesia. If you wanted to trade in East Asia, you had to pay Zheng Zhilong. If you did not pay, your ships would be attacked and your goods would be stolen. He was the unofficial king of the South China Sea. And he was rich. Incredibly rich. Historical records say that his annual income was more than the official tax income of the Ming government. He was a private citizen, a former pirate, who was richer than the Emperor of China. But here is what is most interesting. Zhilong was not just a pirate with money. He was a builder. He used his wealth to develop the Fujian region. He built roads. He supported schools. He helped poor families. To the people of Fujian, he was not a criminal. He was a hero. He also had a strong family. His brother, Zheng Zhilong, was his right hand. His son, Kaxinga, was being educated in the best schools. Kaxinga studied Confucianism, military strategy, and martial arts. Zhilong was building a dynasty. He had everything: money, power, respect, family, a future. And then the Ming dynasty fell, and everything he had built started to crack. In 1644, something happened that changed everything. A rebel army led by Li Shun attacked Beijing, the capital of China. The last Ming emperor committed suicide. The Ming dynasty, the ruling family of China for almost 300 years, had fallen. And then, to make things worse, the Manchus invaded from the north. They defeated the rebels and began to take control of all of China. Suddenly, Zheng Zhilong had an impossible choice. He could fight for the Ming dynasty, a government that was already dead. He could fight the Manchus, a powerful army that was winning every battle, or he could surrender again and try to protect his power. The man who had built his empire on loyalty among pirates was about to make the most important decision of his life. Let me ask you a question. When you have everything, what are you willing to risk to keep it? Zhilong was 42 years old when the Manchus invaded. He was not a young, hungry pirate anymore. He was a wealthy man with a family and a comfortable life. The thought of using everything was terrifying to him. So when the Manchus offered him a deal, surrender and keep your wealth and position, he was tempted. His son Koxinga said to him, "Father, do not trust them. They are invaders. They are liars. If we fight, we can win. The sea is ours. We can retreat to Taiwan and continue the fight." But Zhilong did not listen to his son. He made a deal with the Manchus. In 1646, he surrendered his fleet and his army to the new Qing dynasty. He believed that his wealth and power would protect him. That was his greatest mistake. The Manchus took his fleet. They took his weapons. They took his power. And then they arrested him. Zhilong was taken to Beijing, the capital, as a prisoner. He was kept under house arrest. That means he could not leave his home. He was treated well, but he was a prisoner. The Manchus did not trust him. They knew he was a man who changed sides. They knew he would betray others to save himself. And they assumed correctly that he would do the same to them if he had the chance. Betrayal. That means when someone you trust turns against you. Once you are known as a betrayer, no one trusts you. Ever. Meanwhile, his son Koxinga did something extraordinary. When he heard that his father had surrendered to the Manchus, he refused to give up. He gathered the remaining pirates and soldiers who were still loyal to the Ming. He took them to the sea. Koxinga became the new leader of the pirate fleet. He continued the fight against the Manchus. He became the most famous pirate in Chinese history. For 15 years, Zhilong was a prisoner in Beijing. The Manchus hoped to use him as a bargaining chip to force Koxinga to surrender. But Koxinga never surrendered. He said, "My father made his choice. I will make mine." In 1661, the Manchus decided that Zhilong was no longer useful. They executed him. Execute. That means to kill someone as a punishment. Think about that. The man who had commanded 1,000 ships, the man who had been richer than an emperor, the man who had risen from a poor fisherman to the peak of power, he died alone in a foreign city, far from the sea he had once ruled. And here's the most tragic part. His son, Koxinga, went on to achieve the dream that Zhilong was too afraid to pursue. In 1662, Koxinga attacked Taiwan, which was controlled by the Dutch. He defeated them in a famous battle and established an independent Chinese kingdom. Zhilong could have been the king of Taiwan. Instead, his son became a legend. He became a traitor. How did this happen? How did a man with so much intelligence, so much ambition, and so much power end up a prisoner and a failure? The answer is simple, and it is a lesson for all of us. Zheng Zhilong built his empire like a sandcastle at low tide. Impressive, towering, but destined to be washed away by the waves of history that he could not control. He was like a sea dragon, powerful, fast, and deadly in his natural environment. But he made the mistake of stepping onto land, where the rules were different. The Manchus did not fight on the ocean. They fought on the ground. And on the ground, he was no longer a dragon. He was just a man. So, here's what Zheng Zhilong teaches you. First lesson, the same qualities that help you rise can also destroy you. Zhilong was a master of negotiation and shifting alliances. This helped him go from a poor fisherman to a pirate king to a Mandarin general. But when he faced the Manchus, he used the same strategy, and it failed. He could not negotiate with people who did not respect him. He could not shift sides one more time. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is be consistent. Be loyal. Be someone that others can trust. Second lesson. Fear of losing everything is a dangerous advisor. Zhilong surrendered because he was afraid of losing his wealth and his comfortable life. He wanted security, but by choosing security, he lost everything. His son, Koxinga, had nothing to lose. He was young. He was hungry. He was willing to risk everything for freedom. And because he was willing to risk everything, he won everything. If you are holding back because you are afraid of losing what you have, ask yourself, is your comfort worth more than your destiny? Third lesson. Your legacy is built on the choices you make, not the power you hold. Zhilong had power. He had money. He had influence. But he is remembered as a traitor. His son, Koxinga, had less power and less money. But he is remembered as a hero. Why? Because Koxinga made a choice based on principle. He did not surrender to the invaders. He fought for what he believed in. He built a legacy that lasted for centuries. Legacy. That means what people remember about you when you are gone. Zhilong made a choice based on fear, and his legacy is a footnote in history. In other words, how you make decisions matters more than what you achieve. Do not let fear make your decisions. Do not let comfort kill your ambition. And do not forget that your reputation, your name, your honor is the most valuable thing you have. Lose your money? You can make it again. Lose your power? You can get it back. Lose your reputation? It is gone forever. Zheng Zhilong was one of the smartest men of his time, but he forgot this simple truth. And that is why, instead of being remembered as a king, he is remembered as a traitor. So let me ask you the same question I asked at the beginning. He was a poor fisherman's son. He became the most powerful pirate in the world. He became a Mandarin general. And then he lost everything because of one decision made from fear. What decision will you make today that will define your future? Think about it and tell me in the comments. If this story inspired you, subscribe to this channel. Every week we bring you the greatest stories in history, told in English, so you can improve your language and your life at the same time. Thank you for watching. Take action today, not tomorrow. See you in the next story. And now, as you carry this lesson from another era into your own time, let me leave you with one final thought. Something I want you to remember long after this video ends. You see, the story you just heard is not just a story about a great figure from the past. It is a mirror. It shows you something about yourself. Every decision that figure made, every moment of courage, every moment of doubt, you have faced similar choices in your own life. Maybe on a smaller scale, but the pattern is the same. Here is what I want you to understand. History does not repeat itself exactly, but human nature does. The fears that kept that figure awake at night are the same fears that keep you awake tonight. The determination that pushed him forward is the same determination you have inside you, if you decide to use it. So let me ask you a question. It is the same question I asked at the beginning of this video, but now you have the answer inside you. Are you living the life you dreamed of, or are you just surviving someone else's plan for you? Think about it for a moment. Really think. Because the difference between the person who changes their life and the person who stays the same is not talent. It is not luck. It is not education or background. The difference is a single decision. A decision to act. A decision to keep going when everything tells you to stop. That is the lesson of every great life in history. And here is the most important part. The part I want you to write down. You do not need to conquer an empire to live a meaningful life. You do not need to become famous. You only need to conquer yourself. Your own doubts. Your own excuses. Your own fear of failure. Every morning, you wake up and choose who you will be. Will you be the person who waits for the perfect moment? Or will you be the person who starts with what they have, right where they are? The answer is not complicated, but it is not easy. That is why so few people change. But you are not most people. You are here, watching this video because you want to improve. You want to learn English and grow as a person. That already puts you ahead of 90% of the world. Now let me give you something practical, something you can use starting today. Take out a piece of paper or open a note on your phone. Write down one small action you will take in the next 24 hours. Not a big goal, not a plan for next month. One small thing. Maybe it is reading one page of an English book. Maybe it is writing one sentence in a journal. Maybe it is speaking one new word aloud. That small action is the first brick in your new life. And just like the figure in this story, you do not need to see the whole road. You only need to take the next step. And when you take that step, something interesting happens. Your brain begins to believe that change is possible. The next step becomes easier. Then the next. Soon you are walking a path you never thought you could walk. This is not magic. This is how the human mind works. Small repeated actions become habits. Habits become character. Character becomes destiny. That is the real lesson of history. So I want you to promise me something. Promise yourself that you will not let this video be just another piece of content you consume and forget. Promise yourself that you will take one action, even a tiny one, before the sun sets today. And if you stumble, if you fail, good. That is how you learn. Every great figure in history failed many times before they succeeded. The difference is they never stopped. They got back up, dusted themselves off, and tried again. That is what resilience means, by the way. Resilience It means the ability to recover quickly from difficulties. In simple words, when you fall, you get back up. That is all. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to be persistent. Now, let me remind you why this channel exists. We are here to help you improve your English through the greatest stories ever told. Every week, we bring you a new story from history, told slowly, clearly, with vocabulary explained, so you can practice your listening and learn something valuable at the same time. If this video helped you, please subscribe. Not because I asked you, but because you want to keep learning, because you want to grow, because the best version of yourself is waiting for you, and this channel is one of the tools that can help you find them. And before you go, tell me in the comments, what is the one thing you will do today to move closer to the person you want to become? I read every single comment. Your story could inspire someone else who is watching right now. So go ahead, write it down, then go and do it. Take action today, not tomorrow. See you in the next story.